As many of you know, this is my final evening news broadcast. It has been an incredible 5.5 years.
Norah O'Donnell, the renowned CBS anchor who has been one of the most influential voices in journalism for years, has just revealed news that has shaken her followers. After decades of delivering the news with her commanding presence, she has announced that her career is coming to an abrupt end.
I owe it all to everybody I work with, honestly. Love you. Good night.
What seemed like a simple break from the cameras has turned into a farewell that leaves a deep void. But the most unexpected twist came when, in a recent conversation, Norah revealed that she was facing a serious health diagnosis, one that would completely change the course of her life. It was during the Thanksgiving holiday when Norah received the call from Dr. Hale, a doctor with whom she had had several prior exchanges. "I'll call you after Thanksgiving," he told her. She never imagined that those words would hide a devastating piece of news, a health diagnosis that would force her to step away from the screens permanently. The most painful part for Norah is the feeling of guilt that accompanies her, as she herself has somehow blamed herself for not making the right decisions in time. But what exactly caused this tragic revelation? What illness is Norah O'Donnell facing, and what can we learn from her story? Join us as we uncover the deeper details of this event that has left everyone stunned. Norah O'Donnell, the prominent anchor and managing editor of CBS Evening News, has shared with the world her experience with a diagnosis that left her breathless. In a time when everything seemed under control, Norah's health took an unexpected turn following a simple medical checkup she hadn't had in years. In the week before Thanksgiving, the journalist finally decided to get a routine skin check, something she had postponed for various reasons over time. However, what seemed like a minimal precaution ended up triggering an event that would change her life completely. The email Norah received while doing holiday shopping contained news she never could have imagined. Her dermatologist informed her that the biopsy results had come back positive. The message read, "Sorry to bother you during the holidays, but your biopsy came back positive and we need to talk." Upon reading these words, Norah was overwhelmed by a feeling of terror. With tears in her eyes, she found a quiet spot where she could sit and process the news. She decided to forward the email to her sister, who tried to calm her down, suggesting that it was likely something minor, such as basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma, a relatively common and manageable type of skin cancer. This kind of diagnosis wasn't something her parents hadn't faced before, so Norah momentarily felt relieved. However, that calm was short-lived. Deep down, Norah couldn't help but feel terrified by the diagnosis. Why couldn't the results wait until after the weekend? Why the urgency right in the middle of the holidays? Her thoughts overflowed in search of answers as her mind struggled to process the gravity of the news. It was then, in a growing state of anxiety, that Norah decided to call her dermatologist, Dr. Elizabeth K. Hale. The final diagnosis was devastating: melanoma. The word echoed in her mind like a deafening roar. Melanoma is the most dangerous and aggressive form of skin cancer, known for its rapid growth and high mortality rate if not detected and treated in time. Norah, aware of what this term meant, felt a wave of fear and despair. Was she facing a death sentence? Doubt flooded her, but the worst was yet to come. Dr. Hale's voice, asking if she could speak with her after a long silence, became a distant murmur as Norah walked through the Black Friday crowds, unable to stop sobbing. Her mind seemed trapped in a whirlwind of anguished thoughts. The news was a blow that she could not fully comprehend. How could this have happened to her? Why hadn't she had this checkup earlier? The feeling of guilt overwhelmed her. Could she have prevented all of this if she had made different decisions? In a later interview with Good Housekeeping magazine, Norah confessed the internal turmoil she went through after receiving the diagnosis. "I didn't understand how something like this could happen to me," she explained, referring to how careful she had always been with her health. And despite that caution, cancer appeared. It was a moment of personal crisis, a deep questioning of her own responsibility in her health. As Dr. Hale's words echoed in her mind, Norah could only think of one question: what now? How would she face the battle against this cancer, which seemed to have come at the worst possible time? As she recovered from the initial shock, the truth was clear. Her life would never be the same. The battle against melanoma was about to begin, and Norah O'Donnell was determined to face it, even as fear and uncertainty accompanied every step of the way. Norah O'Donnell's melanoma diagnosis could have been devastating, but early intervention brought with it an unexpected hope. Just weeks after receiving the news, the CBS evening news anchor began to understand that, although it was a dangerous cancer, time was on her side. The melanoma had been detected at its earliest stage, a factor that significantly increased her chances of survival. Dr. Elizabeth K. Hale, who had overseen her case, explained that the diagnosis was melanoma in situ, meaning the cancer was confined to the epidermis, the outermost layer of the skin, and had not yet penetrated deeper where it could have spread. Melanoma, although rare, is the deadliest form of skin cancer. It represents only 1% of skin cancer cases, but it takes the lives of the majority of people with skin cancer. However, when detected early, the cure rate is very high. Norah, aware of the statistics and her own diagnosis, felt relieved, although the fear still lingered. As an experienced journalist, Norah wasted no time seeking more information about her illness. It was then that she discovered melanoma is the leading cause of skin cancer deaths, particularly among young women. Furthermore, upon researching the risk factors, she realized how certain habits from her past had increased her likelihood of developing the disease. She remembered her childhood in San Antonio, Texas, where the blistering summer sun reached temperatures as high as 38 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which led her to spend hours by the pool with her friends without sunscreen. Like many of her peers, Norah also used to visit tanning salons, especially before events like her graduation party, without being fully aware of the dangers these practices posed. Dr. Hale explained that using tanning beds before the age of 35 increases the risk of developing melanoma by 75%. This fact, which Norah was completely unaware of, left her stunned. But the bad news didn't end there. Studies have shown that artificial tanning causes more cases of skin cancer than smoking causes of lung cancer. Additionally, Norah had other risk factors: a family history of melanoma, fair skin, and several moles on her body, all of which increased her vulnerability to skin cancer. Aware of the severity of the situation, Norah decided to undergo surgery immediately. The procedure was scheduled for early January, and while she waited, she faced one of the hardest decisions of her life. Telling her children, Riley, 8 years old, and twins Henry and Grace, 9 years old, about her diagnosis. With a mix of courage and love, she sat down with them to explain what was happening. The children, as expected, were terrified. They asked if their mother was going to die, and although Norah tried to reassure them, she couldn't help but feel guilty for what her children might be imagining in their minds. She assured them that the surgery was just a precautionary measure, but the anxiety of not being able to guarantee their complete well-being kept her awake at night. Finally, after the new year, Norah underwent surgery. Dr. Hale removed a 7.6 centimeter patch of skin from her back, a procedure that required 25 stitches. The recovery, though painful, was successful thanks to the unwavering support of her family. Her children, who took turns applying ointment to the wound, were her greatest source of comfort during the process. It served as a reminder of how essential family bonds are when facing such overwhelming challenges. In her post-operative follow-up, Dr. Hale emphasized the importance of early detection. "Norah, your melanoma was advancing, but fortunately we caught it in time. If you hadn't made the decision to see the dermatologist, the situation would have been much more complex," Dr. Hale told her. For Norah, these words were a deep relief. She knew the outcome could have been very different if she had postponed her consultation, as she had done in previous years. Thanks to her brave decision to undergo a timely medical checkup, Norah O'Donnell not only avoided the worst, but continues to be an example of resilience. Despite the fear and uncertainty, her story is a testament to the importance of early detection and prevention. Norah continues her career, sharing her experience with the hope of encouraging others to take care of their health, not underestimate the risks of the sun and artificial tanning, and above all, never skip medical checkups. Norah O'Donnell's life changed forever after her melanoma diagnosis, but it also marked the beginning of a new phase in which prevention and self-care became her top priorities. In an emotional interview on CBS this morning, Norah shared her experience and emphasized the importance of having regular skin checkups at least once a year to detect any signs of melanoma early. For those with risk factors, Dr. Elizabeth K. Hale, her dermatologist, recommended visits every 6 months to monitor skin health and prevent the disease from advancing to later stages. In this sense, Norah's story serves as a call to action. Early detection really can save lives. Although the scar from her surgery was still visible months later, Norah looked at the mark with a mixture of acceptance and gratitude. The line on her back, which was especially noticeable when she wore a strapless dress, was not only a reminder of what she had overcome, but also a sign of the power of preventive medicine. "It's a scar that, although it will always be with me, represents the reason why I'm here today," she remarked. Norah pointed out that despite the difficult moments she had faced, this scar marked the closure of a terrifying chapter, but also the beginning of a new path toward well-being. For her, the scar was not just a physical wound, but a symbol of the fight, hope, and the second chance she had been given. However, despite the successful surgery and initial relief, Norah O'Donnell's journey with melanoma did not end with that procedure. Like many melanoma patients, Norah continues to have regular checkups to ensure the cancer does not return. Every 3 to 4 months, she still visits her dermatologist, who carefully examines her and sometimes performs additional biopsies. During one of these recent visits, Dr. Hale took samples from 2 suspicious areas on her skin. While Norah joked about the way her body was starting to look, describing it as a full moon full of craters, her positive attitude towards the checkups was admirable. In fact, when she told her father about her situation, he responded with a touch of humor. "Better craters than cancer." Today, Norah O'Donnell continues to appear on the CBS Evening News, demonstrating not only her professionalism but also her strength and resilience in the face of a diagnosis that could have taken her away from her career. The journalist remains an example of how early detection and consistency in checkups can change the course of a life. As she continues with her regular checkups, Norah inspires her followers and the general public to prioritize their health, not allowing fear or uncertainty to stand in the way. Norah's story is not just a tale about the fight against melanoma, but a reminder of the importance of self-examination and self-care, 2 practices that can make the difference between life and death. Although Norah never thought sharing her personal experience would have such a profound impact, her courage and dedication to prevention have inspired many. Thus, the anchor continues with us, not just as a public figure, but as a living example of how a life can be saved with a simple checkup in time. On January 23rd, a date that many will remember as Norah O'Donnell's farewell from CBS Evening News, marked the end of an era in American journalism. The iconic anchor, who had led one of the most important news programs on television for over a decade, surprised her followers and colleagues by announcing that her time on the show had come to an end. Although it was not a departure related to her health, as some had feared, the news left a sense of emptiness among the viewers who had followed her faithfully for 12 years. The reason behind Norah's departure was, in large part, a personal desire to seek new challenges and projects, a step that, for many journalists like her, becomes a professional milestone. After years at the helm of CBS Evening News, Norah felt it was the right time to explore other opportunities. As she explained herself, the arrival of Donald Trump's presidential inauguration, marking her 7th year covering high-profile news, represented a natural signal for transition. "It's time to do something different," she confessed in her final appearance, showing that, although her departure was unexpected, she was at peace with her decision. Although her last day was initially scheduled for January 24th, the sports event that CBS aired that evening altered the programming, moving her farewell to the night before. It was an emotional goodbye, not only due to the magnitude of her career, but also because of what happened in that final show. The CBS Evening News on January 23rd was a commemorative episode where Norah bid farewell, surrounded by colleagues and with a very special guest, Oprah Winfrey. The famous television host joined O'Donnell during the show not only as a friend, but also as a tribute to Norah's exceptional career. Winfrey, with her characteristic warm and sincere style, dedicated heartfelt words praising Norah for her commitment and dedication to journalism. "What I really want is to have a conversation," said Oprah, creating an intimate and sincere moment that revealed the deep respect and admiration they both shared. Together, they reviewed some of the standout moments of Norah's career, including her most memorable interviews and impactful coverage, from international crises to human stories that touched viewers' hearts. The broadcast also included a special montage highlighting the best moments of O'Donnell on CBS Evening News. Each segment showed the grace and humanity with which Norah had tackled even the most difficult news. From covering global tragedies to interviewing international figures, Norah always managed to present the news with a blend of professionalism, empathy, and authenticity. Winfrey, like the viewers, highlighted the rarity of a journalist capable of balancing seriousness and heart in every story, leaving an indelible mark on journalism. In her final segment, Norah O'Donnell shared her closing thoughts with a mix of gratitude and emotion. "It's been a lifetime honor," she said, thanking the viewers for allowing her into their homes and sharing the most important news of the day with a human touch. As her team gathered around her desk to give her a heartfelt farewell applause, Norah looked into the camera one last time and, with a nostalgic smile, concluded, "I will miss you too. So for the last time, that's all for today on CBS Evening News. I owe it to everyone I work with, seriously. I love you. Good night." Norah O'Donnell's farewell was, without a doubt, a milestone both in her personal and professional life. Although her departure from CBS Evening News closed a significant chapter in the history of the program, it also opened the doors to new projects and opportunities. For many, her departure represented a loss in the world of journalism, but for Norah, it was the beginning of a journey toward new frontiers. With her characteristic style, integrity, and human approach, Norah left a legacy that will endure long beyond the CBS cameras. Despite the sadness her departure brought, the message she leaves is clear. Quality journalism, done with passion and empathy, will always find its way no matter where it is. Norah O'Donnell's farewell from CBS Evening News marked the end of an era. For over a decade, the journalist had been the trusted and authoritative face of the network, guiding her audience through the most significant and difficult events in the world with unmatched clarity and humanity. Her departure left many viewers wondering, who could replace Norah? Who could fill that void in one of the most prestigious time slots on American television? In January, CBS responded with a strategic programming change for CBS Evening News. John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois took on the role of co-anchors in an effort to renew and diversify the evening news program's approach. The new format also included the participation of Margaret Brennan, who would handle political and foreign affairs coverage from Washington, D.C., while Lonnie Quinn would oversee the weather segment. Unlike the previous model, where O'Donnell was the sole face of the program, the show was now divided among multiple anchors, reflecting a more collaborative and multi-dimensional approach. But even though her place on CBS's screen was taken, the impact of Norah O'Donnell remained monumental. The journalist, far from completely saying goodbye to the network, was promoted to a new position as senior correspondent, where she continues to contribute with special reports, high-profile interviews, and investigations for iconic CBS programs like 60 Minutes, CBS News Sunday Mornings, and other network shows. Throughout her career, Norah O'Donnell made it clear that her work was not just a job, but a passion. In her farewell, she herself mentioned the importance of her team, the field correspondents, and the editors who helped bring each broadcast to life. As Wendy McMahon, CBS's executive news director, expressed, Norah's legacy was built not only on her ability to present the news, but on her tireless dedication to journalism and the quality of the stories she covered. Norah is the face of quality journalism, McMahon stated in a statement, especially praising the way O'Donnell continued working until the last moment, maintaining her commitment to truth and integrity. Her new position at CBS gives her the flexibility to continue influencing the industry, but from a more diverse and global perspective. Throughout her career, Norah O'Donnell secured high-profile interviews, setting a standard of excellence in journalism. One of the most notable was her exclusive interview with Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. On a rare occasion, O'Donnell gained access to the Saudi leader for a one-week interview for 60 Minutes, the first time in 13 years that an American network had secured an exclusive interview with a member of the Saudi royal family. Norah did not shy away from asking tough questions. She tackled controversial topics such as the war in Yemen, human rights in Saudi Arabia, and relations with Iran, demonstrating her ability to ask difficult questions and get sincere answers. Another standout moment was her 2016 interview with Joe Biden, which was no easy feat to secure. After several attempts, Norah finally had a deep conversation with Biden and his wife, Jill Biden, in an interview for 60 Minutes. This interview became a milestone, as it was the first extensive conversation the Bidens had given since the death of their son, Beau, marking a key moment in the relationship between political journalism and the personal sphere. For her persistence and dedication, O'Donnell received the Merriman Smith Memorial Award from the White House Correspondents Association, a recognition that further solidified her reputation as one of the top journalists on American television. But the high-profile interviews didn't stop there. Pope Francis, who rarely gives interviews, sat down with O'Donnell for an exclusive conversation. In her 60 Minutes interview, the Pope addressed crucial issues such as the Church's stance on same-sex marriage, clearly stating his pastoral approach to love and blessing individuals regardless of their sexual orientation. Norah O'Donnell's career didn't start at the top. Like many great figures in journalism, O'Donnell built her career from the ground up, facing obstacles and seizing every opportunity to prove her talent. Her trajectory from the early years as a reporter to becoming one of the most prominent figures in international journalism is a testament to her determination, work ethic, and passion for truth. Today, although she is no longer at the helm of CBS Evening News, Norah O'Donnell's legacy lives on in each of the reports she conducts, in each story she covers, and above all, in the standard she has set for future generations of journalists. Her ability to capture the stories that matter, combined with her unique ability to connect with audiences, will ensure that her impact endures long after the camera lights go out. What can we expect from Norah in the future? Although she has stepped away from daily television, her influence in journalism will continue to be monumental. As a senior correspondent, O'Donnell will have the opportunity to continue challenging conventions and bringing important stories to a global audience, proving once again that her legacy is much more than that of a news anchor. It is the legacy of a journalist who never stopped fighting for the truth. After leaving an indelible mark on CBS Evening News and facing both personal and professional challenges throughout her career, it is fascinating to take a look at Norah O'Donnell's life from her beginnings. From her childhood, marked by constant moves between cities, to her academic training and early steps in journalism, her story is full of determination and passion for truth. How did she make it to the top of the most important news network in the country? Here, we'll tell you more about her fascinating journey. Norah Morahan O'Donnell, born on January 23, 1974 in Washington, D.C., has had a fascinating journey from humble beginnings to becoming one of the most influential journalists in U.S. television. The daughter of Irish parents, Noreen Bernardet and Francis Lawrence O'Donnell, she grew up in a family with strong values, 3 of her grandparents being immigrants. This multicultural heritage and the experience of her maternal grandfather, who lived illegally in the U.S. for 16 years, shaped her perspective on the world. At the age of 3, Norah moved to San Antonio, Texas, and later relocated to Seoul, South Korea, where she took her first steps into the world of broadcasting. It was in elementary school that she recorded English lessons for the Korean Institute of Educational Development, which not only introduced her to the world of communication, but also sparked the flame for her future career. When the family returned to San Antonio, she continued her education at Douglas MacArthur High School, graduating in 1991. Norah attended the prestigious Georgetown University, where she graduated in 1995 with a degree in philosophy. Later, in 2003, she earned a master's in liberal studies. From her early post-college days, she began carving her path in journalism, working as a writer for Roll Call, covering Congress. This early experience provided a solid foundation for what would become a prominent career in U.S. television. Norah's biggest leap came at NBC, where she spent 12 years. It was here that she gained national visibility, working as a commentator on Today, a White House correspondent, and the chief correspondent in Washington for MSNBC. She was also a substitute host for MSNBC Live and Weekend Today. Her presence on high-profile shows such as NBC Nightly News, Dateline NBC, and MSNBC solidified her reputation as an exceptional journalist. In 2011, Norah took a decisive step in her career by joining CBS, initially as a co-host of CBS This Morning. This transition marked a significant shift as she joined one of the most important news networks in the United States, quickly standing out for her professionalism and clarity. Her ability to connect with audiences allowed her to excel in a variety of roles, from correspondent on 60 Minutes to host on CBS Overnight News. On May 6, 2019, CBS officially appointed her as the anchor and managing editor of CBS Evening News, a milestone in her career. She also assumed the role of lead anchor for political events and continued as a correspondent for 60 Minutes, cementing her influence within the network. CBS's decision to entrust her with the lead anchor role for this historic evening news broadcast was not only a testament to her skills as a journalist, but also to her ability to connect with a diverse and loyal audience. Throughout her career, Norah O'Donnell has received multiple awards recognizing her hard work and dedication to journalism. Among her most notable achievements, Sigma Delta Chi Award for her coverage of the Washington crisis in 2001, Emmy for live and breaking news coverage in 2008, Emmy Award in 2018 for outstanding investigation into assaults at the Air Force Academy, Edgar Allan Poe Award in 2018 presented by the White House Correspondents Association. In addition to these accolades, she was named one of the 100 most powerful women in Washington and one of the 100 most distinguished Irish Americans by Irish America magazine in 2000. Norah O'Donnell has not only been an icon in the world of journalism, but also a dedicated mother and wife. She lives between Washington, D.C. and the Upper West Side of New York City with her husband, Jeff Tracy, owner of the restaurant Chef Jeff's. Together, they have 3 children, Grace, Henry, and Riley, who have been a constant source of support and motivation for the journalist. Norah O'Donnell's departure from CBS Evening News was undoubtedly a major change for the network and its millions of followers. Although many were surprised to hear that Norah would leave the news program after so many years, her decision was not driven by health issues but by a desire to explore new opportunities and projects within the same network. As for her replacement, CBS has chosen John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois to host the evening newscast from the CBS Broadcast Center in New York. However, many wonder if these new hosts will be able to fill the void left by such a prominent figure as O'Donnell. Norah O'Donnell has left an indelible mark on U.S. television. Her legacy as a journalist who not only informs, but also connects with the audience is something difficult to replace. But as she herself said, she is ready for new adventures and projects, and we are confident that her career remains as promising as ever.